Well, Cobra Kai never dies, apparently, Janine, and
Apparently
it does
not.
not die for us. It's a wonderful pod. What is going on with the thing? Are we all okay? We went a bit funny
Yes.
there at the beginning, I think. Let's start again. Cobra Kai never dies, but does it die for us, Janine?
No,
No, it doesn't die
never,
either.
never.
Now, even though, obviously, at the point we're at in this television show now, Cobra Kai does indeed die. Because,
I mean,
look, season 6 has now, or the first 5 episodes of season 6 of
yes.
Cobra Kai are now out. I believe, if I'm right in saying there are 2 more 5-episode parts.
Yes, before the series finale. So I think the next part is in November, and then the third part is out next year sometime.
They're leaving us a while between
Yeah.
the parts. So no doubt we will have a couple more of these live Cobra Kai discussions that were all the rage once in a while or once a while ago
Yes. We were
on this
doing these
channel.
regularly for the other seasons, and so, just to be a completionist, let's come back and talk seasons 5 and 6, but we do have lives if you wanna go check them out for seasons 1 through 4. They were really fun. Had some fun
Yes,
little chats in there. Your
we
your
did.
rage for Terry Silver grew there in those lives, and it still continues today. So
My rage for Terry Silver grew from the first time I watched Karate Kid Part 3.
yeah, he was a
Never
little insane.
mind anything else. I'm
Well, I
glad
mean,
I obviously have my caption today. No more Terry Silver because we don't want to see
yes.
any more Terry
We
Silver.
don't, we don't. But I actually did a rewatch of the full series, before going into this new season, and I actually, was on his side a little bit, like, when Kreese was kind of trying to drag him back.
Excuse me.
He came back, and he was literally like, "I just wanna teach these kids. Like, why are you trying to fight with these dumb rivalries and think about the past? Let's just move to the future and teach these kids." Like, Terry Silver wasn't about the petty rivalries with Johnny and Daniel. But so like he was really into focusing on the karate. So I was like, yes, let's do that. Why are you trying to deal in these petty rivalries instead of just running your dojo? So I was actually siding with him, but then of course it creeps in and he gets all wrapped up in the rivalries and then becomes the big bad. So like
He
I
spoiled
forgot that I forgot that when he first came back, he was very much like annoyed by the stupid rivalry that Kreese had with Daniel and Johnny. So he was kind of the voice of reason for a couple episodes there when he first came in.
what Terry Silver has done to you. I think it was season 4 when he came in, right? What he has done to you is he has manipulated you like
It
he did to
only
everybody else.
lasted it only lasted so long before he was all mixed in with the rivalries and taking it to this extreme. So, yes, it didn't last long, me agreeing with Terry Silver, I have to say.
Good, because I'm very glad to end season 5 where we did end with Terry Silver being carted off to prison after having his dojo smashed
Yes.
up. And he's
Well,
all
yes.
fancy high tech, uh, Ivan Drago, Rocky 4 looking dojo.
Yes,
All
so kind of
because everybody found out he was a cheater and a briber and awful and terrible
and
and
beat a
fake smash,
man half to death.
beat a man half to death,
Yes,
ruined
so
ruined
so
Tori again, and Tori's just a tragic character anyway, as she
yes.
always is. Um, it's
So he framed
good to see.
Kreese, got Kreese pulled away to jail, um, and has since franchised now Cobra Kai after winning the tournament. He seemingly paid a referee to get Terry or Tori to win. So she kind of notices that, she discovers that, and she's kind of been working with Kreese because she's formed this bond with him because he supported her with her family, has kind of been this father figure ally to her. And he's also kind of used that to his advantage a little bit as well. So
Yeah,
she's kind of pretending to be in Cobra Kai spying for Kreese, and Kreese has kind of promised to help her. So she's feeling really conflicted because she's not happy with the win. She's not happy with Terry Silver or Cobra Kai, this now big franchise thing with these, glitzy juice bars and all their kind
Mm.
of crazy setup. So, but she's the star because she's their tournament winner. Robbie has finally seen the light. He's made up with Miguel. They've become
Yeah.
friends as they are now going to be brothers to a new baby, as his dad
Yeah.
and his mom have a new baby coming. So that's a nice little thing that's going on with season 5. Um,
This all came from the trip that Miguel took to Mexico to try and find
to
his
find his
real
father.
father,
Yes, and that did not
which
go
didn't go
well.
very well.
Yes, but Johnny jumped to the first chance to go find him, brought um his son with him, and they kind of worked out their whole drama, and then it slowly him and Miguel have worked it out, and they're going to be brothers. So that's kind of a whole nice
Yeah.
little familial thing that's happening there. Um and everything is still kind of building because Terry Silver is looming. There are suspicions that he did beat up Stingray, and so now it's just a matter of finding proof. Um,
As annoying a character as Stingray
yes.
always been. I mean, I don't wanna come out and say this of a bold statement, but out of out of everybody Kreese could have beaten up, I'm glad he beat up Stingray.
Well, Kreese didn't beat him up. He was framed for beating up Stingray. Terry
Oh, he was
Silver did it,
framed
and
for beating that's
yes,
right, Terry
yes,
Silver beat him up. It's
yes,
been a
but you,
while.
yes.
Out of anybody
Uh,
Cobra Kai could have beaten up, I'm glad they beat up,
yes,
Stingray.
I'm
I'd
sure
like to
you.
say hello to a couple of people in the
Hi,
chat now.
old Mr. Chris. Hi, Justin Square. I know you were always there for our Cobra Kai lives, and you very much were having fun with Morgan and his love of hating Terry Silver. So I appreciate your comment.
Justin Square, you say hashtag no more Terry Silver for
For
now.
now.
Surely. Now we'll get on to the first part of season 6 shortly after we've finished a little overview of season 5 to begin this show. How Terry Silver can possibly weasel his way back into this show, I do not know. I don't see how it happens.
I mean,
Somehow it might, because you know what the show Cobra Kai is like. It's all over the place with people weaseling into
in
situations and
coming back
finding ways of
somehow
getting
and
them.
finding, yes, I mean, he straight up tried to murder Chosen. There was a big
He
brawl at
did.
his house,
A
where
sword,
yes, he sliced him. I think they ended up saying Chosen got like 80 something stitches from that fight.
right?
We
And I
brought
like
back,
Chosen. Chosen's great.
he's great. I love having him kind of just hanging around being this support, and he has his whole like Kumiko like hesitant relationship that he's trying
Mm.
to make happen for himself, which is really sweet, and I love that he's like nervous about it. We brought back what's his name? Troy Barnes, I think, is that was that his name from
Mike Barnes.
Mike
Mike
Barnes, Mike
Barnes.
Barnes. Yes. So it was nice seeing him come back. We also got Robin Lively coming back, and we learned that because it was a very weird relationship. Like they didn't make her and Daniel like
Yeah.
dating. They made her have a boyfriend, but she was still kind of in the love interest role. So it was really weird, but it worked out because we learned that she's kind of an aunt to the family, and she's how Daniel met his wife. She introduced them. So, when the Cobra Kai drama is too much for her, she takes the kids and goes and meets Aunt Robin Lively and that whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we get to see her back. So that's great. So I feel like we've gotten all the key people. We're just waiting for Hilary Swank. So that season series
We've all
finale, we've got to get Julie San back in there. Like definitely waiting for her. But
Julie.
we've gotten, Mike Barnes, we've gotten Robin Lively, we've gotten all of the Johnny's
Everybody.
crew of friends. We've gotten so many
Chosen.
people coming. Chosen, Kumiko, even the little girl that he saved from the tower, like so many people.
Right?
So I
Everyone.
definitely we need Julie San to to come back. So yeah, we leave and things off with Kreese kind of trying to protect Tori and saying, "Actually, you know what? Just think of yourself. Don't worry about me." And she sees that as him kind of betraying her. She ends up
Yeah.
going to the Miyagi-Do crew that have now all since kind of come together. A
Yeah,
lot of
it's
them are
all Miyagi-Do, Eagle
and Eagle
Fang
Fang come together
combining.
kind of thing, and, Daniel and Johnny are trying to train together and work together, which has its ups and downs, and Tori ends up going and telling them, what's going on, um, and Sam is kind of, hesitant to trust her, and so it's this whole
Mm.
thing. So,
Takes a
Tori
while. It
yeah,
takes a
Tori's in a
while
weird place. She's
till
still kinda being this spy. She doesn't wanna be in Cobra Kai. Miyagi-Do won't trust her. Um, but Robbie's kind of, trying to speak up for her as well. Sam and Miguel, in the terms of their relationship, she broke up with him because she was really shaken about everything and felt like she needed to step away. But then she found her way back to it. And so they're like in this weird place. She sees him kiss another girl. It's a whole thing with them.
yeah,
But ultimately, by the end of season 5, they say, "I love you," and they come back together. Robbie and Tori are back together. Tori, they all kind of end up working together to get Terry Silver out as he becomes more and more brutal.
yeah,
And
the bond between those 4, your central 4
yeah,
kids are it's tension filled, sure, but
yeah,
it's definitely coming together by that end of season 5 and in the earlier couple of episodes, certainly, of this first part of season 6,
yeah,
where we end the 5th episode of all we've gotten so far
yes.
chronologically, is in a little bit of an annoying place, to be perfectly honest with you,
Yes,
and I
because 'cause we're doing the same thing
hate it.
that we are constantly doing is the switching of sides kind of thing,
Yeah,
which is
which
really
we
kind
don't
of
need.
annoying. Yes.
Because what I really loved about season 5 as well is that to me it felt like a plot of a season that wasn't about defecting from one side to another or somebody betraying somebody else.
Yes,
It was
and,
all just
like
purely go after Silver.
yes, and Tori, even though she is on the Cobra Kai side, we see that she is conflicted and that she's actually kind of trying to do something else and get out of there. So it's not like a her swishing sides, which we will see her do later. It's her kind of being
Yeah,
stuck in the middle almost. And the thing kind of that has everybody riled up is this training for this big international tournament.
yeah,
So this
the
committee has
Sekai
come in.
Kaikai.
Yes. And so this committee has come in and they're evaluating the different dojos to see which ones can compete. They've liked what they've seen from Cobra Kai and also the Miyagi-Do Eagle Fang crew and want them to come each to come. So now it's like months before the tournament. So they've all been kind of doing this training while simultaneously trying to get dirt on Terry Silver to get rid of him. So
Yeah,
ultimately it builds to them breaking into Cobra Kai, trying to get footage of him beating up Stingray because Stingray tells him in not so many words that that is what happened, that Terry Silver beat him up, but he's too
yeah, in some sort
scared.
of strange
Dungeons and
Dungeons and Dragons
yes,
analogy.
yes. And so, but he's just afraid. So I liked the kind of like him actually being genuinely scared, and that's what it was holding it
He
back. But
is.
he does come around and he admits it and all of that. So they're like, okay, there must be footage. Let's go and break in to the hard drives in Cobra Kai and see if it's on there. So it's this whole big fight because Cobra Kai is on to them breaking in. And so a big fight is happening with the kids. Meanwhile, Mike Barnes and Chosen and Johnny have gone to Terry Silver's house to fight him.
Yeah,
So it's and they've just had a night of drinking, so they're all drunk. They're not in a good headspace to fight.
they
Daniel's
were
like, "No, I'm not going." So he stays behind and he's trying to get home
they
to stop all of this. So
were,
simultaneously adult and kid fights happening in this kind of big last episode of season 5.
yeah, they
Um
were celebrating obviously Johnny going to become a new father and all that sort of
Yes,
stuff.
so he gets beaten to within an inch of his life. Mike Barnes has like a strong start, but all gets knocked out kind of right away. Chosen has this epic poolside fountain, whatever fight with Terry Silver with the samurai sword. So it's a big epic thing there. They kind of get their asses handed to them, but ultimately kind of win the day. Johnny sees the sonogram of his new baby, and that gives him this second win to kind of win the fight. And then they all go to
Yeah,
see what's going on with the kids. Daniel ends up getting picked up by Miguel's mom and Daniel's wife and Stingray. So they end up
yeah,
getting Daniel and going to see what's going on with the kids to save them. So the kids ultimately they can't find the footage of Terry beating up Stingray. Because he's erased it, but they find footage of something else they think they can use. So they're trying to download it.
yeah.
So it's this whole we gotta wait for it to download, and they end up using a lesson that they used in training, protect the egg. So they're like all protecting the hard drive as it's downloading this video. So it's a really fun kind of callback to a
A
training that they
chosen
did.
lesson, actually, a lesson that
Yes.
Chosen gave them, which I
Yes,
liked.
I love that. So they're fighting the Cobra Kai kids, trying to protect the egg thing, and then they do get the video, and it's the video of Terry Silver paying off the referee for Tori to win
Oh,
the
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So he brought Anthony, Daniel's son, um broadcasts it to the everyone in Cobra Kai. So now they see been lying to them. He's not a good guy. Terry Silver comes in and he's like trying to still win them over, and they're like, "No, you're a liar." And that kind of kills the momentum. Um, and I think then there's a big fight with Terry Silver and Daniel, and Daniel wins the fight, and that's kind of the end of him and everything else.
listen, it was the most wonderfully satisfying
Yes, I'm
final
sure you
episode.
enjoyed that very
I
much.
know there has been great finale episodes of Cobra Kai
Yeah,
in the past. Justin Square says best team up ever. It's a pretty great team by this point to
yeah,
take down Silver, obviously, and we see, what becomes of this team up in this sixth season. Um, it's just, it was bigger. It felt more brutal. It
yeah,
felt more like even the Robbie breaking Miguel's back situation that happened and
um,
seasons and seasons ago now, obviously.
yeah,
Like that was brutal, sure. When it was very much that pure crease Cobra Kai
yes,
energy, no Silver involved yet. But Terry Silver, you just feel like could have quite easily killed them all if he just wanted to. Just
yeah.
just by any means, he could have brought out, he
Oh,
brought
yeah,
out the sword. At one point, there's no guarantee he wouldn't have genuinely beaten them to death.
yeah.
Or some of his random aggressive senseis from his old master that he's hired
Yes, and
would
they
have
are
beaten them
all
to
very
death.
brutal as well. Like, they don't care kind of putting these kids through their paces and really treating them like adults and being really brutal with them, particularly, I think, the granddaughter of the master. And so he's kind of
Yeah,
promised her that if they get into this competition, they're gonna bring her father's martial arts to the world, and that's kind of her impetus for being there and putting up with Terry Silver. So that story gets developed even more going into season 6.
it
So I
does
think
because
that's generally where we leave it. Our 2 little couples have kind of rejoined. Miguel and Sam say, "I love you," and get back together. Robbie and Tori get back together, and Tori and Sam are on this road to kind of becoming friends. And everybody is now in Miyagi-Do. Um,
yeah,
and
it
so
really
that's kind of where we open season 6 with kind of deciding the name, and Johnny really kind of feeling like his side of things is being pushed out. Also him kind of needing to find a job to take care of his family and get a house and all of these kinds of things he's dealing with in his personal life. Because now he has Robbie, he has Miguel, um, you know, He has
There's a
Miguel's mom,
family unit
Carmen. I'm like, "What is it? Carmen's mother." So they're like a huge family now, a new baby coming, so and it's a girl, so it's really exciting
there.
to,
Yeah.
bring into the mix, and I love that this new season, he's very much like, "I'm a girl dad," like, all excited and feeling like he's qualified as a girl dad because we did see him really bond with Sam in
Yeah,
previous
he's trying.
seasons. Yeah, when Sam was kind of rebelling against Miyagi-Do and, really all the defense stuff, and she wanted to be more on the offense, and Johnny really harnessing that and respecting her for that. I loved when she was in the tournament and she turns to Daniel and then she turns to Johnny as well before she starts the fight, and he kind of gives her that nod. And when she
Yeah.
kind of gets a good move in the fight, he like cheers for her. So I love that, there was a bond forming with Johnny and her. So then when he now is like a girl dad, I think that's really fun and he's really excited about it. So I
It
liked
is
seeing that.
all it is all finding this balance that
Yeah.
Miyagi-Do
It's
constantly
all
talks
about.
about, that
Yeah.
Daniel constantly talks about, and is a perpetual struggle to do for these people because they are two, they're two differing views
Yeah.
on karate still. Eagle Fang is not as harsh as Cobra Kai, obviously, but it's
Yeah.
still that more, Johnny calls it macho style of karate.
Yes, but it's
Uh,
still based in Cobra Kai as well because that's kind of
it
the core
is.
of it. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Um, but there is a real pleasant energy early on in this sixth season, this final season, where it does feel like they're all as one. And yes, as you've said, Johnny does feel a little bit pushed out. They have the discussion and the vote over the name change. They decide to just keep it Miyagi Do, but change the
Yes.
logo slightly to put an eagle on it
Eagle,
as
which I thought
well.
was really great. But even like the build up to that was Chosen really wanted to respect Miyagi and
Yeah,
um and Johnny was feeling like pushed out. So then it became a fight between Chosen and Johnny. So then it was built up to them two fighting to decide. So even
yeah.
when, Chosen relented and also Johnny relented, um, they decided to keep the name Miyagi-Do, but they still decided to fight, which was really cute. It ended up being like this fun moment. So I liked, we've seen enough of Johnny and Daniel kind of working things out and bonding. So it was nice to now see Johnny and Chosen bond as well.
That
So
that's what I mean. It felt really pleasant. It felt like they were all going to get along. And I know you're an idiot for thinking they would just continue to get along over the course of a long
Oh, yeah.
season, that this is gonna be. But can we not for once just have something nice in this
Just
show?
stick. Well, because somebody I
What
saw
I
an
love,
interview.
this is what I tell you, this is what I was telling you that I loved about season 5, is that it was, despite differences, everybody versus one person, Silver, and his gang of
Yes,
Cobra
so it
Kai
was this coming
lunatics.
together and just getting the other Cobra Kais to see what was wrong with him, and they finally saw that, and then all came together in Miyagi-Do kind of thing.
Again, so satisfying when they all throw their Cobra Kai branded
Yeah,
T-shirts on Terry Silver's
yeah,
mangled body because he's just been
yeah,
beaten up to by Daniel. Daniel even does the old what's it called move,
the crane
uh,
kick, yeah,
crane kick.
yeah.
Um, how Ralph Macchio's still doing that at 65 or
Well, that's
however
what,
old.
like, I wanna know, did they keep up their routine and practicing with this stuff? Because they all look pretty good. Like, I know Kreese he seemingly has a lot of stunt doubles because he's obviously an older actor, so a lot of his stuff is filmed from behind and that kind of
Yeah.
thing, but it looks like for the most part, these actors are still doing this stuff, and they still look really good, like Mike Barnes and Johnny
Oh
and
yeah. But
Daniel, like, they look like they're and even Terry Silver, they look like they were still all doing it. So I would love to kind of see a behind the scenes thing, which I think Netflix has, like, a Cobra Kai in the dojo, like, behind the scenes thing that I might wanna check out that to see if they actually kept it up or they had to kind of relearn everything because they still look very practiced with it and still look very, good for the fights that they do. So
they really do, and it's odd because Macchio's definitely in his 60s,
Yeah.
and he really doesn't look it,
No, he
obviously,
looks great.
but he's doing well to still be doing a crane kick, what ultimately was a crane kick in
Yeah.
that final episode, in the exact same way he did in 1984,
Yeah.
which is 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of insane, and yeah, I am an idiot for thinking it would all be nicey nice in this season as well. But even so, the main plot, what is the main plot? The main plot is them going to this international tournament, the Sekai Taikai.
Yeah.
Why can't that be the main plot? Like, I don't even care in these first 5 episodes of the final season. I'm a bit over the rivalry aspect of it now. I was 2 seasons ago, to be fair. I enjoy the show. I enjoy the Karate Kid world,
Yeah.
obviously. But I'm just a bit over the constant, shouting at each other back and
Yeah.
forth, karate tennis match going on. I'm absolutely tired of it. And
I
it
get that.
manages to seep in to this final season as well, because Kreese has managed to escape from prison from some fake murder
Yes, that's
attempt.
why he pushed Tori away because he didn't want her involved in his whole escape plot. So he ends up
Yeah,
escaping and then going to the master that was him and Terry Silver's, and the granddaughter finds him, and we get kind of these flashback scenes of him training with this man and knowing the granddaughter when she was a little girl, and
yeah, and
kind of
as Justin Square mentioned in the chat earlier on, I think we technically get Terry Silver in a flashback in this
yes.
season, which we do, and I don't
Yeah.
like it, Justin
Yeah,
Square.
still got that ponytail. Um, and so, yeah, the Kree stuff, kind of training, and then like him coming back and having to do this cave test situation in
Yeah.
order to kind of be ingratiated back into the original Cobra Kai people. That didn't really interest me much, but I think
Can
it's
we
like
just
we're
also
trying to go
point out
into
how old Master Kim Sung Young must be? Because
yeah, because he was looking old in
Kreese
them flashbacks already.
Kreese is definitely in his 70s.
Yes.
Um, that man must be in his late 90s in world, I mean. Master Kim
Yeah.
Sung Young must be in his late 90s. So
Yeah.
Kreese had no intention on believing he was still alive, by the way, in
Yes, to
that
just show
scene.
up there and have that be part of his plan. So I think the whole kind of impetus of this season is also kind of going back to the past. So Kreese going back to this part of his past in order to kind of curate this new version of Cobra Kai so that he can have something at this tournament. Um, and then we learn something new about Mr. Miyagi. So
We do.
yeah.
Oh, juicy, juicy.
Yes, I don't know if you want to get into that, talk about that.
Yes. Because I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Mr. Miyagi has in the real world, and certainly for Daniel LaRusso, been
Yeah.
seen as ultimate pure good hero for decades.
Yes.
Mr. Miyagi may not be all good. Certainly, he was the man we knew him to be. He will
Yes.
always be the man we knew him to be, and the man he grew into in slightly later life. But it may turn out that Mr. Miyagi has a criminal past. He may have
Yeah.
done some things, some unscrupulous things. He may have been forced to flee the country
Yeah.
for a significant amount of time, go back to Okinawa, and then eventually, obviously, come back to LA. Um, it also seems we learn that Miyagi brutally fought in the Sekai Taikai himself.
Yes, because when
Very
they get the
interesting.
headbands for the team leaders, because there is kind of this whole build up to who's going to be the team leaders, um, they bring in Mike Barnes as an impartial judge to do these tests on the
Very
kids to
ruthless, Mike
decide.
Barnes.
Yes, he is, which kind of goes back to the bad boy of karate that we saw in the
Bad boy
movie in
parts, yeah.
yes. So I love that they found a way to bring him back, and I think it was smart for them to have this impartial judge kind of coming in and giving these tests. Um but, Yeah. When he gets the headbands for the leaders of the teams, he realizes that the headband looks very similar to one that was in the box of things that they found of Mr. Miyagi's.
Yeah.
That included the things that had him come up on this discovery that he may have been a thief and a criminal and all these kinds of things. So
Now, Justin Square brings up a great point. We haven't even mentioned Kenny.
Yes. So Kenny was very angry. I loved that Robbie really fought to try to repair that relationship.
Yeah. I
Obviously,
feel so sorry for Kenny. He's so
yes, he was
tragic.
so misguided. We saw him get brutally bullied. One of his bullies was Daniel's son,
Mm,
Anthony. He got connected with Cobra Kai because of Robbie. Robbie and Kenny's brother was they were together in juvie and they had their
yeah,
own beef but worked it out. So Kenny's brother sends him to Robbie to kind of guide him, and he gets way too intense with it and starts now mercilessly bullying his bully in Anthony LaRusso. And just gets far too aggressive. He's really listening to Silver and he's kind of lost his way.
he
So once
becomes the
everything kind of
most violent Cobra
violent,
Kai member.
yes. Yes, and so once it kind of all ends, he's kinda lost, and, Robbie tries to apologize to him, and he says he's not quite ready yet. So he just hasn't really talked to Anthony, he hasn't really talked to Robbie after everything has kind of fallen apart, so he feels a little bit lost. His brother is now out of juvie and kind of there for him. So Robbie, on several occasions, has tried to talk to him, Tori and Miguel and Sam say, you got to try to talk to him. We got your back. But the big brother is like, no, you led my brother astray. You left him in Cobra Kai to rot because Robbie left Cobra Kai and went to Miyagi-Do and left Kenny there.
Yeah.
So the brother is very untrusting of Robbie. He's getting his brother to not give Robbie a chance. So it's kind of this hurdle. But after he kind of sees how hard they fought to try to make peace with him, the brother is like, I've never seen you like that before. I didn't like seeing you be on this violent path. Maybe you should hear Robbie out. Maybe you should listen to him so you don't end up like me. I got your back. And the brother kind of gives him advice. And so that ends up leading Kenny to now join the Miyagi-Dos as well, and
Yeah.
he's kind of a star pupil and in consideration for this team leader spot because it's going to be, I think, what is it? Uh
There's six
six.
people allowed to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two captains. That's the
A,
rule. That's where this
yes, a
special
girl and a
headband
guy's
comes in.
captain. Yeah.
Yeah. But it felt so good when Kenny slowly and fairly sheepishly walked into Miyagi-Do. You felt like he was turning a new leaf. And then
Yeah.
in one of the tests that Mike Barnes set, he doesn't get his fair shot at it because one of the others, who we think might be Anthony LaRusso, but ends up not being Anthony LaRusso,
Yeah.
puts laxatives in his drink before he
Y-
sets off on this
yes.
test, so he can't actually
Finish.
fulfill,
Yeah.
his what he probably could have very easily gone in there, certainly ahead of Dimitri. And look, give Dimitri all the credit in the world you
Oh
want, but should he really
yeah.
be going? Should he really be going? Should he?
Uh,
No.
I mean,
Kenny should,
yes.
as a
So I don't
fighter.
know. I don't know if that's gonna come out. I can't remember the character's name. Um, she is really
Devon Lee.
Devin, yes. She was joined Eagle Fang for the girls team and learned karate really well in like 6 weeks and really got into it and is very regimented and like strict on herself and that whole kind of thing. So she's kind of been Johnny's star female pupil because it's like,
Yeah.
Daniel has Sam, so now he has Devin and that's kind of his person. And she felt like she was being overlooked in the challenges. So Johnny was kind of always in Mike Barnes's ear, kind of make sure you look at Devin. She's really trying.
Annoying
And
Mike Barnes, to be quite frank.
yes, to the point where they get in an argument and he misses her do this cool move in this kind of flag football challenge almost. And it even leads to a fight between
Mm.
Mike Barnes and we keep calling him Mike Barnes, it's not Mike.
His
I think
name
it'll
is
be easy.
Mike Barnes, that's
Mike
his name.
Barnes, yes. It even leads to a fight between Mike Barnes and Johnny. So I love that like two elements of Daniel's past are kind of interacting because they weren't aware of each
Yeah.
other in the context of the film. So that was kind of fun. But the fight gave them this common ground. So he actually decides to implement a third test to give the final people another opportunity to get a spot. And so it's this, run into the forest. Whoever gets the flag comes back with it will win the spot. If somebody else gets the flag, you fight them for it. And so that's kind of the
Yeah.
thing. So Devin, she ends up, sabotaging Kenny. And so it's kind of the sneaky thing that we learn it's her, but it's played to be make you think it's Anthony. And Kenny has every reason to think it's Anthony because Anthony
Yeah.
was kind of making fun of him when it happened because obviously he ends up crapping his pants in front of everybody. And it's also really sad because he's just kind of gotten over being bullied. He's kind of found his
Yeah.
confidence again. So I'm just thinking about the implications of him regressing back into feeling bullied again, which
Well,
sucks. And
absolutely. He
yeah,
Kenny is going to again go on this journey, and I hope it ends well for him eventually.
yeah.
But he's going to get violent again.
Yes.
You know he is.
Yes, and Devin, she feels really bad, she keeps asking about him if he's okay, because she really feels guilty about what she did.
Yeah.
So we see kind of just all these little guilty looks from her. So it
She's
now
using the silver tactic of do
yeah.
anything to win.
Yes, so she's kind of put this pressure on herself to win, and so she ends up kind of cheating to get there. So, yeah, Dimitri, he ends up kind of having this beef with Hawk before they go out there because, they went to a college party, they're kind of getting excited about school. Him and Dimitri have
Yeah.
talked about going to MIT forever, and so Dimitri keeps talking about it, but Hawk is like, "Ever since we went to that college party, I'm kind of wanting to weigh out my options. I don't think I want to go to MIT anymore." And Dimitri constantly talking about it is annoying. And so he kind of lets it out at the beginning before the challenge that like, stop talking about MIT, you're bugging me, I don't want to go anymore, I want to weigh my options, all of this kind of thing. So Dimitri is hurt and that his friend lied to him and this whole kind of thing, and so it starts beef with them just before they go into this challenge. So
You
once
know,
Hawk gets the flag, it's a big kind of fight between the two of them,
yeah.
and Dimitri kind of uses a bit of dirty tactics to win, and so he ultimately wins the spot over Hawk.
He
So
does, and look, Dimitri as a fighter has only improved over the seasons. He really
yes.
has as a technical quality fighter. He gets a spot to go to this international tournament. One of the 6 exclusive spots is Dimitri's, and you would have never, ever
Yeah,
thought that.
and we get a little hint that he is not really feeling the confidence himself, and he's really not seeing himself as all that great because his girlfriend's like, "I'm not breaking up with you, but you kind of not having confidence in yourself is really not attractive. So I need you
Yeah,
to be that confident kick-ass guy that I fell for because otherwise it's gonna kinda kill the spark for me." So the fact that you're kinda saying like, "I don't need to practice, I'm over practicing, I'm not that good anyway." Stuff like that is not sexy. So please stop saying that stuff. So the fact that he's not even like his heart isn't fully into it or he doesn't have that full confidence in himself also worries me at the fact that he got that spot. Because him getting that spot
yeah.
isn't about him having the skill. It was him kind of just trying to win the fight against Hawk. So that's why it's like, oh no, that spot probably, even though he's gotten really good, he's not a confident enough fighter to really kind of have earned that spot fully, I think. So that's kind of
No,
disappointing.
it makes me think that look, that ends one of 2 extreme ways. I think it might end in real kind of sad, brutal loss for Dimitri,
Yeah.
or it'll end in finding his own confidence properly and repairing this kind of needless beef he has with Hawk
With
after
Hawk,
their
yeah.
original repairing of the friendship when Hawk
Yeah.
seasons ago went insane and broke his arm.
Yes.
You know, they
Yeah.
repaired that. So this comes from Dimitri's side. It doesn't come from Hawk's side. Hawk's the one being all sheepish in this situation. He's
Scenario.
the one
Yes.
on the receiving end of what's
Yeah.
going
But it
on.
does get interesting when Hawk ends up going, which we'll get into.
It
Um,
does, yeah,
so yes, we end up having a battle between Miguel and Robbie, obviously, and Tori and Sam for who's going to be the male and female team leaders.
yeah.
Um, and
Miguel
so
and Robbie's
everyone
battle very good, very intense little battle, very
yes,
fair. They still
because
like and respect each other, which is the most
yes, and
important
I love that they kind of check in with each other to make sure that that's what the fight is gonna be, no ill will, we're still friends after this. But Miguel
thing. And they
has
do
put all this
after it as
pressure
well when it's
yes,
finished.
even though Miguel has put this pressure on himself because he's trying to get, I think, into Stanford, and they
Yeah,
deferred him, so he's like, "If I can get to this tournament, if I can be seen as team captain and, get all the accolades, commercials, ads, whatever that comes with this, that will look good on um my application and maybe they'll accept me sooner, whatever. So he's like, I need this. And then Robbie kind of takes offense when Miguel's saying things like that because it's like, oh, so you don't think I don't need this because I don't have a bright future because I'm just some juvie kid. And so that causes a bit of conflict, but I like that we didn't lean into it yet again and have them fighting
no.
again, So I
You know
like
what?
that. I was
Sometimes
getting nervous. I was getting nervous that they were gonna start all over again with a whole nother loop of them hating each other, but I'm glad that they eased it back and they did the fight. Miguel was very disappointed, but it still ended okay with the two of them. Um,
sometimes, and admittedly too often in the world of Cobra Kai, someone will say something that is, for themselves. I'm doing this for myself. The
yeah,
reason in this example, Miguel, I need to win this. I want to get into Stanford. What do you mean? Why can't I win it? Why are you better than me? It's not about
yes,
that,
and
Robbie.
Miguel is literally saying like, I don't mean it like that. Like that's not what I said, kind of thing.
It
But Robbie
happens
kind of
all the time in this
yeah,
show where somebody will say something about what they desire, and
and
their friend or the person next to them or their supposed semi-rival will always get
take it
way
the wrong
too
way and
defensive
to the
about it.
yes, the defensiveness. So yes, I'm so glad that they didn't end with that turning into a real fight between the two of them. That even though Miguel was disappointed, he still said, we're good, we're cool. And
Yeah,
Robbie ends up winning the spot. So he's the team captain for the boys. But so who's going as Miguel, Robbie, Sam, and Tori for sure. And then the other two spots is what we were kind of fighting out. And
yeah,
Dimitri won one of them, and Devin won the other by cheating. So then it's now to the fight between Tori and Sam. But since we've seen through Tori's story, we opened an episode with her getting medications for her mom, and the doctor, like, oh no, we lowered her medication. She's doing really well. And Tori talking about
yeah.
her mom cooking them dinner and she's been up and about and feeling really good. And so positive outlook. And she's walking through the parking lot and here comes Crease. And he tries to
Mm,
apologize to her and tell her why he did what he did and this whole kind of thing, but she's like, no, leave me alone. So then she comes home, she ends up fighting her mother, passed out on the floor. She takes her
mm.
to the hospital, her mother dies. So then she's pissed at the doctor. You told me she was getting better, all of these things. It was a blood clot. So now she's just been in this weird headspace. Robbie's been calling. No, she's not answering. Everyone's been calling her. She's not been answering. And we just see her in this totally messed up place.
Yeah, she's
Um,
completely grief-stricken, she's completely
yes.
broken. Can we also just point out as well, this is one of those little nitpicks that I like to pick up on every once in a while. Kreese escaped from prison. People are aware, the authorities are aware he escaped from prison.
Yeah.
How was he allowed to travel to Asia?
Yeah, I don't know.
How is he allowed to just walk around the streets?
So I wanna say, didn't, like, the granddaughter help him get there? Because did she not have, like, a private plane or something when she first came when Silver asked her to come?
Possibly, but you still need a passport
I don't know. So,
and
shady
customs
dealings.
authority and immigration authority.
Yeah. Of course, they're not thinking about any of that. Just shady dealings all around because it's Cobra
Yeah.
Kai. Ugh. So, um, yeah, so she does show up to the fight, but she looks awful. Um, Daniel's wife, she tries to kind of like, ask her if she's okay, all this kind of thing. They're doing the fight, and Tori's being a little bit brutal, but the fight's going okay. Sam's hanging in there, and
So,
then,
like
uh,
1-1, I think the score is at
yeah,
this point. Tori's
um,
not showing any over brutality, no more so than usual. She's a very aggressive fighter, we know that.
she's just very intense. Like, it feels like there's something wrong. Like, I think
It
she
does.
tries to kick her when she's out of bounds. Like, she kicks her,
Yeah,
she gets the point, and then she hits her again.
yeah,
And that kind of thing. So then Daniel's wife gets a call because I think, after she tried to help Tori and things, she was probably put on, and I think she helped connect her like with a therapist and stuff. So she might have been put down as like an emergency contact.
yeah.
So she gets a call from the hospital, and she's telling everybody, Daniel, we need to stop the fight. Like, she's not in a good headspace. We need to stop the fight. And everyone's kinda like, "Why? No, let's not stop the fight," and she doesn't wanna say and embarrass her in front of everybody, but Tori's like, "No, I need this, I need to fight," and everyone's telling her, "No, I don't think it's a good idea, you're not in a good headspace," and so then it is revealed that she shouts, like, "My mother died," and she wants to
Everyone
keep fighting,
everyone
except
apart from Johnny.
yes, so everyone she's like, "I need this, I just need to focus on this right now, like, you know, don't tell me what I need to fight," and it's kind of based on this whole flashback she had with her mom about being fighters and all that kinda
Yeah.
thing, and for a better life, and, her mother calling her a little fighter and this kinda thing, so that is like, "My mother would want this for me, let me fight, let me do this," that kind of thing. Um, and Johnny's like, "If she wants to fight, let her fight," and they're like, "No, we can't." And so she gets pissed and feels like nobody has her back. Johnny is doesn't have Daniel's back. He's supporting Tori.
Yeah.
And so she's pissed that no one will let her fight. No one will listen to her. So she storms off.
People
And then
just,
that
she's just thinking they're all siding with Sam. They all want Sam to be the team captain because she's
yes, because
obviously
she's just not
strong.
in a clear head. Yeah, and she's not in a clear head space. So it's completely understandable that they would want to give her that time to grieve.
Yeah.
But so kind of like what side do you lean on? Do you feel like
I
they
I
should have
I
let her
feel like
fight if she wanted to fight?
no, no, b you don't if she wanted to fight, it's who am I in this situation? Do I think she would have, you know, caused Sam injury to, prevent her from maybe even fighting in the tournament herself? Possibly. We know how aggressive Tori has been. Do we trust a short amount of time in what we consider the good side of karate, as opposed to the rather long amount of time under Kreese and Silver? And okay, she never fully embraced Silver, but certainly Kreese, who is obviously incredibly aggressive, has got, never had any business manipulative power like Silver did,
Yeah.
but is probably more karate aggressive than Silver. Silver's like life aggressive.
Yeah.
Kreese is karate aggressive.
Yes.
So she learns all that from him. That's embedded in her. Her mother's just, you should never do anything when you've
You
just
don't have a clear
had an
head like that.
accident. It reminds me, and maybe he won't like me saying this a lot. My brother once played a football match on the same day he had a little tiny little car crash.
Okay.
He wasn't remotely. He literally he just
Ye
scraped a lamppost, right?
yeah,
But rather badly. He
but
got
it's like
sent off in that game of football because his head wasn't in the right mind. You can't
yes,
do those
yes.
things at the same
You
time.
get a little bit rattled. So, yeah, like, I understand everybody telling her she shouldn't fight, and I appreciate Johnny wanting to support her, but, yeah, who knows what she would have done in that headspace? Because we already saw her kind of do this illegal kick on Sam because she's just fighting out of anger.
Yeah. Justin Square says that story reminds me of
Oh,
Whiplash.
yes, when he had that car accident, then he went to go try to play that thing, and he was all
Right?
messed up. Yeah.
You can't do those that you
Yeah.
can't do something you have to be so focused on when something has completely messed you up. And God, the death of a parent is going to mess you up for a long
Yes.
time.
And especially because she thought, "Oh my gosh, she's getting better, she's cooking dinner, doctors
Exactly.
lowered her meds," and then all of a sudden, no. So
It's a
that
shock.
pushes her to so then when everyone shows up at the tournament, here comes some Cobra Kai people as we've seen, um, Kreese training with this crew, this young crew, and we do have a kind of a standout in that group who's
We
kind of
do like
cocky and the other team doesn't really like him because he's so cocky, but he's like the best fighter kind of
they're
thing.
not even they're not even really like Cobra Kai, are they? They're
Ye
proto Cobra Kai. They're what
Yeah,
came
stand-in.
before Cobra Kai ever
Yes, the
existed.
original kind of thing. And so, we see Miyagi-Do walk into the tournament, and then we see the black geese with the red snake on the back walking
Yeah,
in. Perfect space opening, and they're all looking like, "What? Who is that?" And they see Kreese there, and they're like, "Whoa, Kreese!" And they see the lady from Cobra. What? What? And so they're all
yeah,
confused. And then a nice little gap in the line, and who fills that gap but Tori? So Tori
yeah.
has decided because Kreese was kind of this father figure for her. She's lost. He's always been supportive of her issues with her mother and all that kind of thing. And he probably said all the things that Johnny was thinking, oh, I would have let you fight. They just have no faith in you. Probably brought up Sam a bunch and they'll never choose you over Sam. And he probably messed with her head into that vulnerable state and got her to join that way. And
It's
so
the sort of
because
thing.
Tori ran off in that moment, they do end up giving Hawk that spot. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So and that brings up obviously Hawk and Dimitri actually going to this tournament together.
together. Yeah, so it's Hawk, Dimitri,
Which
Devin,
they
Miguel, and
wanted to,
yeah,
but then they had the fight or the
yeah.
little, tiff that they had. But it's so annoying that Tori, Tori is for me a very annoying character, a tragic character, a great character, very well performed character, but a
Yeah.
very annoying one because you just want her to stop being so, you know, listen to people, to listen
Yeah,
to
she's
sense.
so stubborn and, like, she doesn't take responsibility, so I loved when, once, Tori and Sam started being friends and Johnny noticed that they were kind of losing their edge, he kind of
Yeah.
creates this slumber party for them because, like, "Oh, I heard the slumber parties, so much gossip and drama and all this kinda thing," so he's trying to, like, stir up drama for them, but it
He does,
ultimately
he
brings them
tries to
closer.
he steals both of their phones and tries
Yeah,
manipulating the
he steals
relationship.
Miguel and Robbie's phones and tries to call the other with trying to, like, set up this cheating scenario, and they see right through it. But it has a clear moment of them calling out each other on the things they did to each other, but then apologizing. So this was, like, the
Yeah.
first time that Tori admitted that, "No, it was my fault. No, I shouldn't have done that. It was all my doing. I started that big school fight." All and she finally takes responsibility for things, but she, up to that point, had never taken responsibility for anything. Even when the fight started and she ran into Miguel that first time, she
Mm,
still had the audacity to, like, snip at him
yeah.
when he's the one in a wheelchair, like, girl. So, the fact that, like, she had this breakthrough, made peace with her, and so now she's in this crazy headspace, and she's back to really not being able to listen to anybody, so that kinda is just a bummer, but
It's where we end these 5 episodes,
yeah.
and, we've said this is the beginning of the end. Well, at least the next 5 episodes are certainly going to be what we're getting in November, certainly going to be at this tournament. I would imagine the goings on of this tournament, whether this Sekai Taikai tournament takes over the rest of the show, I'm not sure that will happen necessarily. I'm sure we'll probably get a come down from that, the repercussions of what happens during this
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah, because the creators have talked about, somebody asked them about the split. And they talked about how typically when they craft these stories, they do them in five episode arcs. So that's why each kind of
Okay.
5 episode piece will kind of, you build up your story, end on something, then you kind of build on you build on another conflict, and then kind of the last piece is the aftermath of the conflict.
Yeah.
So that's kind
Yeah,
of, I
which
think, what it will
is
be.
exactly what's happened.
Yes, and I'm trying to remember who was the 6th person, because
The 6 people, Robbie, Miguel,
Miguel, Sam,
Sam, Devon,
Dimitri. Oh, and
Dimitri,
Hawk,
Hawk.
okay, yes, okay, yes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kinda where we end things, and Daniel's still kind of feeling, oh, and then because Johnny agreed with Tori and kind of didn't back him up in front of everybody, that creates a conflict between the 2 of them, and they're like, "After this
We
tournament, we're
don't
done."
need this
Johnny
is another
is
thing.
talking crap about Mr. Miyagi. I heard about what you found out about Mr. Miyagi. He wasn't as good as you thought he was, and kind of disparaging Miyagi's name. So that really caused a beef. So now they're in the mindset to end this partnership as soon as this
Which is
tournament's
so
done.
annoying because we
Yes.
need to be over this. I'm genuinely, my mind is tired of it.
Yes.
You just see, sense the both of you. We thought we were
Yes.
over this last season. You
Yes.
found common ground. You've now found common ground in crafting a karate future for these kids,
Yes.
and the teachings and the balance of the teachings and the mutual teachings are benefiting
Everyone.
everybody there.
Yes.
Clearly, that's what they're doing. But oh no, it all comes down to some competition aspect, doesn't it? This is the issue with, the martial arts and the competition. Miyagi-Do wants to be peaceful martial arts, but there's always the competition.
Yeah.
This is what doesn't has ever never sat right with me. Mr. Miyagi, all 40 years ago, didn't really want to go to the All Valley Tournament 1984, did he? No, he didn't. He was forced to by Kreese. Really, he was defeated. He was disrespected
Yeah, and then
by
even that's
Kreese
what
and Johnny.
caused the whole Terry Silver, Mike Barnes issue with Daniel, because he wanted to continue fighting and defend his thing in the tournament, but Miyagi was like, "No, no more fighting."
True Miyagi-Do karate is no competition whatsoever. So stop
Yeah.
fighting with each other.
Yes,
I'm
and I
tired of
think
it.
how they're getting around that is because they do find the, headband from the tournament
Yeah,
in Miyagi's
yeah.
box, so it's like, "Oh, he
No
fought in
wonder
it
he doesn't want
too."
to fight. He probably brutally almost killed
Yeah.
somebody there or
Yes,
something. You'll
and the way
probably
Mike
find out
Barnes
exactly what
talks about
happened.
it the way Mike Barnes talks about it, he's talking about it like it is kinda some blood sport level kinda situation, so,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
because Mike
so,
Barnes went, didn't he? Did Mike
yeah,
Barnes go
I think I
because
think
he
he did
was
go.
national champion?
Yeah,
Um, or years ago in world. Um, but it's I'm just I'm very very much over now that I've seen them together and work well together. Do I need another Johnny and Danny fight?
conflict between
No,
them, yeah.
please, no, I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm over that, yeah,
We're going to get something, but the show has to end. The show cannot end with them going their separate ways after succeeding. The show has to end to be remotely satisfying for me with the two of them practice. Even if they don't want, I mean, I can't imagine it ends not wanting to practice karate
yeah,
either. It has to end with the way this season started, with them all being as one. Maybe something does happen. Maybe you do suffer harsh losses. You redevelop things, but you
yeah.
become one of a thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even they set up as well that Daniel, after this tournament, he says he's done. Like, he's gonna leave the
Mm,
dojo to Johnny to do with what he wants.
yeah, but he
But
won't
is
want to
that
do
gonna
that
be
now.
Yes, especially now he, like, wants to maybe upkeep Miyagi's legacy and what he thinks Miyagi was, because he's now in conflict with that as well, and now again in conflict with Johnny. So, yeah, I'm curious to see. So that's kind of how we left off with these last 5 episodes.
I love this from Justin Square. The show will have a satisfying ending. It is if it is somehow Kenny sneaks laxatives into something Devon drinks. You're just justice for Kenny, and I appreciate that, Justin.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that poor kid. I mean, um, so I'm curious to see how that's gonna play out, if Devin is going to admit it, if it's going to affect how she fights in the tournament, if maybe she'll confess something before a match and they'll be able to fly Kenny out or something. I don't know. Um, I'm curious to see if maybe they'll be able to, like, I don't know, LaRusso Auto will sponsor all the kids to come, so at least they'll have, like, a little cheering section, because it's like the whole
Yeah.
thing was this built up, the kids were so excited to think they were all gonna go, and then when they found out it was just 6 people, it was this big disappointing thing. So I feel like maybe they're gonna
Larusso
build
Auto
some
can afford it. They're
right,
the
to
most
sponsor for
successful
the kids
car
to
dealership
go.
in the entire LA County area.
Yes, or maybe even the other kids, since Kenny was up to potentially go but didn't win, maybe they'll let him just go so he can at least support in that way, and then he'll be there when Devin maybe feels guilty enough to confess or something, who knows? But
But
so I'm
will he
curious to
want
see where
to?
where that's gonna go.
Does he not just feel shamed now? I don't know. I feel like that's the nice way of dealing with Kenny
Yes, but it's
rather than the
also gonna be
realistic way of what will likely
yes.
happen with Kenny, which will be the violent thing.
Yes, but it's also gonna be him thinking it's Anthony, and so that's gonna cause a big
Yeah.
conflict between the 2 of them again. So I'm really curious to see how that's gonna
You
play out,
build
really curious to see how the
why?
tournament plays out.
Why
Yeah.
are you bringing up the same conflicts from 3,
Yeah.
4, 7, 8, 2, 1 seasons ago, Cobra Kai? Please actually
Yeah.
have growth with your character. Please. I'm
Yeah, let them
begging
really learn and let it
you,
stick, but
bro.
it never sticks. There's always some little defensive thing that comes in that screws up all the progress. So that's really annoying.
It's a little bit soap opera. Like,
Yeah.
if I didn't really love the world of the Karate Kid and
Yeah.
so much, I wouldn't watch the show anymore because it's so
Just
the
back and forth
same
and up and
plot
down and the
over
same
and over and over
jumping.
again.
Yes, it's the same kind of motion, it's the circle of Miyagi-Do.
It is,
Yeah,
constantly. Oh God, please end well.
yeah.
Be an interesting tournament, at
Yes, so
least.
I'm excited to see the fighting there, seeing how brutal it is, seeing the conflict between this Cobra Kai, original dojo and Miyagi-Do, if they're gonna be rattled because they were not expecting to see Kreese or Tori or this whole, Cobra Kai entity, because they were very much satisfied in thinking they got rid of it completely. And also our 2 head senseis are not really on the same page right now as well, so is that gonna cause issues between the 2 of them? Oh, yes. Thank you, Justin, for bringing up Kyler. We forgot to see, Kyler, who has been the bully
Good
throughout
point.
the whole show. We see him at the frat
This is
party
why
getting hazed
this is
and
why we
bullied.
like this is why we like a good interactive chat,
Yes. Thank
Justin.
you, Justin. Yes,
We
totally
do have
forgot about
character, we do have
Kyler.
character growth.
At the frat party, he is being hazed by these, upper class college kids, and um Miguel overhears them saying they're not even gonna pledge him anyway, like, we're just gonna get him to do all this gross stuff, like be the human vacuum
Yeah.
and eat all the crap off the floor and that kind of thing. And Miguel's like, dude, they said they're not gonna take you. You shouldn't take this crap from them. And so then a big fun fight breaks out with the with the Miyagi-Dos and Kyler and against these stupid frat guys. And Kyler and Miguel finally make peace.
Yeah.
And some other frat guy said, "Oh, we saw you fight. We would love for you to join our fraternity. No hazing, nothing like that." So I like that, Kyler, he still jokingly calls Miguel Rhea, but they've kind of
Mm.
made peace and he's a good guy now. So took long enough,
Yes. It
but
did. It did take long enough,
yeah,
and it needs to happen for Tori,
yeah.
please. And
Because I loved that scene. I love that scene of her and Sam at the slumber party really talking it out and,
right?
really working on their stuff, and yeah, so that was really nice. But
Who are the ultimate villains you actually want to see redemptive? is Tori. Kyla, sure, but Kyla was much more brash and abrasive
Yeah.
and kind of loud. Tori's the genuine, young villain of the show.
Yes, she still has a lot to learn, and she's just so full of anger because no one's ever kind of cut her a break. But then there are people there who wanna support her and cut her a break. Like, I loved what
Exactly.
Sam's mom really forming that bond with her and trying to figure her out and bring up her own past with, criminal acts and acting out of anger and that kind of thing, and being able to relate with, Tori on that level and really want to protect her after the conflict with her. So I think she just needs to realize she does have people in her corner and things are gonna be okay, but she's just so angry. So hopefully she will get there. Maybe Julie-san will come and help her
Oh, there you
zen
go.
out and figure things out. Because that's definitely I think she's the last one. I think we've gotten great cameos across all 3 films. Now we have this 4th film, and so
Yeah.
we need to see our Julie-san for sure. And I feel
And
really excited about that.
yes, I've just seen Justin's put another great chat in
Yes.
the thing. Crease won't be redeemed. I don't think we're talking about the adult villains being redeemed at all. I don't
Yes.
think they deserve to be redeemed. I would happily see John Crease die with hate in his heart.
Well, I will say I did appreciate at least those flashes of him kind of realizing that, his biggest fear is Johnny and how he failed him.
Yeah,
And,
look, there's
we
a
did see
character
some
there.
human yes, we saw kind of these human aspects of him when he's with the therapist and he's thinking about his girlfriend who died and, how he let
There's
Johnny down
plenty.
and all of that kind of thing. So I liked getting to see that he actually has a heart and he actually feels like he failed this young boy and all of these kinds of things. Then maybe
There's
if we had
plenty
leaned
of
into
depth.
that, yes, I would feel like, okay, maybe I wanna see Kreese redeemed, but then he just slithers back into, old habits, and he's kinda too old to really learn from them, I feel like, so he's gonna be stuck
Absolutely.
in this place. Yeah,
It's been 40 years. There's depth to his character. That makes him a good villain,
yeah.
which he is. There's no redemptive
He doesn't
quality. It's
need to be
like Silver.
redeemed, yeah, in my
There's
eyes.
no redemptive quality. He doesn't need to be redeemed for it to be satisfying at all. I don't think
No.
that's what we're saying. Also, again, lastly, on the potential to put Julie Hilary Swank in uh, what will come in these last couple of parts of this
Yeah.
final season. You get an alternative view of Miyagi that
Yes.
nobody else here has. It's the same Miyagi, but it's an alternative view from somebody totally
Yes, so
absent,
maybe that's how she'll play into
rest
it.
of everything.
Yes, in the last season, Daniel will still maybe be conflicted on who Miyagi was and his legacy and all of these things, and then Julie will come in and maybe
Yeah,
meet at his gravestone, and she'll show up there, and she'll talk about her experiences with Miyagi, and that will give him the perspective he needs to stop feeling this conflict and just think about the man that he knew,
yeah,
and
because it wasn't, you know, Miyagi wasn't just a man for Daniel. He was a man for all the people in his life.
yeah, yeah,
He meant different things to different people, and Daniel's never ever thought about him meaning different things to different people. I think because the only other person he really speaks to who really knew him well enough was Chosen, who he
yeah.
means very much a similar thing to. That
Yes, and because it was chosen trying to make up for, the kind of
being a
pain that
bit
he
nasty.
caused and being
Yeah.
terrible. So he's been spending the rest of his life from that moment into in part 2 to make up for that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think and Kumiko as well.
Yeah.
So I definitely would love to see somebody who was another student of his that maybe Daniel's not even aware of to come in and give him that perspective. So I feel like if they're gonna bring Julie in some way, it's gonna be her helping Daniel realize that, everyone has a past. It doesn't change the man you knew. I knew him
Precisely.
this way and that kind of thing. So I would be great for her to come in last episode, whatever, and just do that, or even come in and say she wants to be a sensei, and like you don't have to go anywhere from there because that's the end of the show, you know?
Yeah, right? You know, anything, it's just
Yeah,
reasonable, I think, to get her in. She is the only one left
yeah.
from past
Mm,
Karate Kid
yes, the
that we
fact
have.
that they've brought back people in these little bit moments and worked them in so well. I loved all the stuff with Johnny and his friends. The fact that the
Mm,
friend died and we see him in a body bag and he's the one who said put him in a body bag, like
yeah.
the shade of that, but the brilliance of that, the fact that the actor who ended up actually dying, um, was okay with, like, committed to that, like, the joke of it, but the emotional turn of it, like,
Yeah,
stuff like
it's
that in
mad.
this show is
It's
so
great.
great. So and we've got, all the great kind of big memory moment flashbacks to really remember that this show is just this really cool idea that came out of these really beloved movies. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's great, and look, we'll be back with,
part
season 6
2.
part 2 and season 6 part 3 surely.
Yes.
When we do get them, it'll be November when we're back with another Cobra Kai. There's plenty more things going on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel, of course, though there is. Subscribe,
Yeah.
ding your notification bell here. There is, of course, plenty more things as well going on all things. It's a Wonderful Podcast on the main podcast network itself. Monday Madness, Morgan hasn't seen the main show. It's a Wonderful Podcast itself, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, of course. Let's mention Justin's last little chat,
Yeah.
because he says, I feel like Daniel probably has met Julie. They probably met at Miyagi's funeral, which is a fair assumption,
Yeah.
I think. So maybe they do know each other, or to a degree, or have met each other, but
Yes.
maybe in the
Didn't really
context of the
speak,
show,
yes.
we need a coming back together of the two
Yes,
of
a
them.
reminder of who Miyagi was and stop getting hung up on this past kind of thing. So, a
Yeah,
lot to look forward to, a lot
there is.
to maybe, that's gonna maybe feel backwards in terms of what the show has done over and over again.
But it's been
Um
doing that for five
Yes,
plus
but we're
seasons
coming to the
anyway.
end. I think the show has still found a way to be fresh in some areas, correct some things in other areas, bonding relationships, getting to see interactions with characters who didn't really get to interact because of the rivalries. I think this tournament is gonna be a big fun thing to watch in terms of the fights and the conflicts in this next part. Um, so yeah, I think we have a lot to look forward to, and I'm really excited. I think the show's ending at a perfect time as well. So really excited to see what's coming in part 2.
Yes, me too. There we go. We've had things scrolling
Yay.
down at the bottom of the screen all episode long. The social medias, the Patreon, all that fun stuff are there. If you would like to support us in that way, follow us there. As I said before, subscribe, ding your notification bell. Do let us know what you thought about season 6, part 1 of Cobra Kai and all things here. Leave your likes, check out all the other fun stuff we have, and keep up to date. It's fun.
Yes. Thank you for
We love
those
it.
in the chat. We appreciate the interaction. So fun
We
and great
do.
points, Justin. We miss doing this with you. You are one of the OGs from these live streams. So we appreciate you
Oh,
popping in
yes.
and chatting with us. You always bring some great points and perspectives. So thank you so much. Thank you to Chris, who also popped in as well.
Yes,
So, yes.
definitely. Love it so very much, Janine. I do think there is only one thing left to do. Go ahead.
A 3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Bye.